BMW is going through a bit of an identity crisis at the moment, unable to decide where it's going, what it stands for, or what it is. But back in the 90s, it definitely had some direction, and arguably no better car to exemplify that than this, the E39 5 Series, a car which even today is heralded as one of the marque's absolute high points. Deservedly so? Let's take this mint 528i for a drive and find out. The E34 generation of BMW's 5 Series was the first generation of the executive saloon that could really equal the Mercedes E-Class, by then in its W124 guise. It was every bit as good looking, every bit as refined and as luxurious. It arguably handled better in that BMW fashion, and it was just as versatile with the options for diesels and even estate versions. But it never quite matched the 124. It didn't have quite as many variants available. It didn't sell quite as many units. It isn't quite the icon even today. So BMW decided that for the 1990s, the next 5 Series would come out swinging. What would be codenamed the E39 5 Series was designed by Joji Nagashima, and after it had been tweaked and finalised for production by that most famous and infamous of BMW designers Chris Bangle, by 1995 the E39 5 Series was revealed at the Frankfurt Auto Show. And I think they did a cracking job of this car. It's an all-new, clean sheet bit of design after the boxy 80s E34, and it suddenly made it and the Mercedes look archaic. It's soft and it's swooping and it's aerodynamic and modern, and yet it doesn't look bloated and blobby like so many of today's cars do when they try to be curvy. It's handsome and it's tight and it's neat and it's timeless. And I think you'd struggle to tell the design is 30 years old in 2025. And in 1996, the touring estate version proved to be one of, in my eyes, the best looking estate cars ever. It looked like it was meant to be there, and that's because it was penned in from the very start. An attractive estate car, you say? I think so. Having made a great first impression with its styling, the next key to the E39's success was as broad an engine range as possible, and BMW delivered that. It launched as a 6-cylinder 523i and 528i like this one. Then later you got the 2-litre 6-cylinder 520i, and then a pair of V8s in the form of the 535 and the 540i. And crucially, the turbo diesel, which offered that fleet appeal, a strong gutful of torque, and remarkable fuel economy. One of BMW's trump cards over Mercedes had long been the driving experience, to offer the ultimate driving machine. And the E39 was keen to expand on that as much as possible. For a start, with its steering. This was the first 5 Series to come with rack and pinion steering, at least on the 4 and the 6-cylinder models. The V8, sadly, there wasn't room for it, so they still had the old recirculating ball setup. But in this 528, we got the rack, and you know what? It feels great. It really feels something. It's got a nice weight to it. You've got a great idea where the front wheels are in what is still a big, softly sprung saloon car, and it puts the numb steering box arrangement on a W124 to shame. I say this as a Mercedes fan, the E39 trumps it in the steering stakes. The E39 was also a full 40% stiffer than the E34 in an effort to make it more rigid, to soak up the bumps better and to corner sharper. And then there was the suspension. There was extensive use of aluminium in the struts, the knuckles and the subframe to reduce unsprung weight and improve the handling, and with a little tip of the hat to the acceleration as well. At the front you got double jointed McPherson strut suspension, and at the rear a multi-link setup for the most balanced and composed handling possible. And you know what? They achieved it. This is a big, comfy executive saloon car that isn't designed really to attack a B road, and yet it can. The steering's lovely weighted, the front end turns in as you ask it to. There's no vagueness, there's no ponderous, it doesn't roll. The body control is superb. This isn't even an M Sport car, don't forget. And it's really staying level and planted. Brakes are excellent as well, it has to be said. Chuck it in, and it just feels sporting, shall we say. Maybe not sporty, it's not that sharp and firm, but sporting in that best BMW tradition. This is an executive saloon car that, if you want to get home a bit quicker and avoid that traffic jam on the motorway, you can take the back road and you won't regret it. And then there's the engine. This is a 528i, 2.8 straight 6, back when the badge on the back actually meant something, and it is a joy. The straight 6 rasp, just like a BMW should have. About 190 odd horsepower in this, and it is plenty. It's smooth, it's long-legged. You can rev it all the way out if you want to and enjoy that staple BMW noise, as you probably should. But if you're just cruising along like this, settle back down, particularly as an auto, and it's just a 5 Series. Just plods along, comfortable, 2,000 RPM here at 40 miles an hour, and it's whisper quiet. Knowing they were onto a good thing here, BMW built on the E39's platform, and by 1998 there was an M5 version, the first ever V8 M5 in fact, a 5-litre variant, and that by many is still heralded as peak M5 because it was just sporty enough to be a real Porsche 911 warrior, but not so aggressive and so attention-seeking you attract too much attention to yourself. But 5 Series had long been good to drive and comfortable and refined. Now the E39 also brought tech to the table. You got front and side airbags as standard. You got curtain airbags out here to make you more protected in a side impact. ABS, you got traction control, you got air conditioning standard on more models. And if you were willing to tick the options box in best BMW fashion, you could have heated leather seats, you could have a heated steering wheel, sat-nav, voice control for various functions, and double glazing for even more refinement. This wasn't even the flagship 7 Series, but it really could play the role of the luxury car that fits in a normal parking space. Unsurprisingly, the press loved the E39 and heralded it as the BMW that finally flat out beat Mercedes Benz. It was in Car and Driver's 10 best list for 6 years on the trot, and 2001 Consumer Reports said that the E39 530i was the best car it had ever reviewed. Everything people say about the E39, how capable it is, how comfortable it is, how well engineered it is, it just feels like a car where each and every part of it was considered, and each team that worked on the interior and the handling and the styling and the engine and the safety, they were all talking to each other and working in tight-knit form to engineer and design and build the ultimate car. And that's why so many people still say that the E39 5 Series could be not just peak BMW, but potentially peak car, if you're into saying that the 90s cars were as good as they got, which, to be honest, it's hard to argue with driving this. It's fabulous. And I say this as no small thing. As a Mercedes fan, this is better than a W124, and it knocks a W210 into a cocked hat. It's fabulous, this thing, and if I'm honest, I can see myself looking for one of these on eBay later. This is a 30-year-old car, don't forget, in its earliest guise, and yet it's modern and refined enough to be a viable daily driver, but it's also old school enough to appeal as a modern classic for people like us. And that means, for me at least, the E39 could well be the high five. But what do you think? Have you ever owned an E39 5 Series? How did you find it? What variant did you have? And do you agree that it is the 5 Series and maybe even BMW's high point? In the meantime, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for all future Classics World content, and why don't you go and watch our E46 road test and debate in the comments which is the true best BMW. I'm just going to waft on home. I think I need one of these.